Okay, here we go. It's July 2021. In the middle of golf season, in the middle of scouting, just all sorts of fun stuff.
Summer, all the things.
Did we have some fun haikus this month or what? So,
Yes.
so who wants to go first? Who wants to go first?
What order do you have them? You usually have them in an order.
Well, I just kind of used the template from last time just because I was running late. So let's see what I have.
And while you're doing that, I'll just say that so every month when I open yours, Michael, you know, you've always got art, you know, on it and writing, and I always make sure that I check on the inside, because sometimes you've actually drawn things on the inside of the envelope, and I'm always afraid I'm going to miss something. So I'm like looking inside, and nothing this month on the inside, but.
Well, yeah.
Full experience.
I figured there's an envelope, you know, it's got a flap to it. You can actually write something on the inside sometimes.
I think it's great. Like I said, I aspire to what the two of you do with your haiku. I'm a piker.
I wouldn't say that. Man, what you have this month is just fabulous. Okay, so I'm gonna pull. All right. Okay, we are recording, right? So here we are, and we have. I just had the same orders last time. I've got Davin, me, and Amy.
Perfect.
So why don't we start with Davin? How's that sound?
Yes.
Sounds good. So I've got I did a double-sided this month. So on the front there, you see the icon of the Blessed Virgin with baby Jesus, and then on the back, if you can scroll down just a little bit, got a backpacker and someone hard at work studying, and a watchmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And the haiku is imitatio, is the title. We all imitate. Someone shapes us constantly. Who do you select?
All right. Amy, you or me? Doesn't matter.
I'll go. This haiku cuts to the heart. We all imitate. As much as we long for freedom, individuality, liberty, and all the rallying cries that fill our airwaves right now, we all imitate. We are shaped by the people around us. Are we shaped for better, or are we shaped for worse? We are shaped by people we know and people we don't know. I love the idea of shape. I recently watched a British reality show on pottery. Potters competed to be the greatest potter. It was so interesting to watch bowls, pots, plates be shaped. There was so much more to clay than I ever realized. A clump of clay into a pot is the classic illustration we always consider. There is really nothing better. Every little wobble, slight pressure, the spin of the wheel shapes the clay in seen and unseen ways. I've heard it said that we are the composite of the 5 people we spend the most time with. This is what this haiku gets to. We are constantly being shaped in seen and unseen ways. Who do I select to shape me?
Spot on.
I was starting to hum to myself Unchained Melody.
Oh, really?
Is that the one from Ghost?
From Ghost, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's,
yeah.
it's like, I don't know what the.
Da, 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 da. Anyway, when I think of pottery, that's one image that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, my turn.
Yes.
I was drawn to this haiku the second I read it. And then as I looked at the pictures, I just started grinning. That's because I know a little about Davin and a little about what these images might represent to him. But I'll let him tell his own story through these and this haiku. As for me, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about imitating, and especially imitating Christ. As a friend and a colleague and I have been writing a parable focused on Thomas à Kempis' Imitation of Christ book. Without going into details, I'm drawn to it and what it would mean to, on a daily basis, be like Jesus. Think of all his qualities and the virtues he speaks of. humility, forgiveness, acceptance, fortitude, sacrifice, love. What would it take to move in these directions over time? That was my first thought, front and center. My second thought was, who else? And the person who always comes to mind is my grandfather, as he was and is a towering figure in my life. The persons who come to my mind are my grandparents and parents. Why? Humility, acceptance, sacrifice, fortitude, love.
Beautiful.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, you both have walked through the doorway here phenomenally. It's yeah, exactly what I was hoping. All right. Some things about me are original and unique. Truly unique. My fingerprints and my retinas come to mind, for example. They are physiological, unalterable in terms of my own human agency. If I want to change them, I'm not sure I can. And if I can, I doubt it's a good idea. In any case, they're unique through no fault of my own. Then there are pieces of me that I've spent so much time and energy working to make unique. And I've just about concluded that I'm simply chasing the wind. What's my voice as an author? What's my scholarly perspective and contribution? My aftershave. We worry about what our clothes and our cars communicate about us because we want to be understood the right way. We want to represent our unique selves. I've been convinced and compelled by our culture, I think, to pursue uniqueness, fearing that maybe, without being unique, I am worth less than I would otherwise be. There's a lot of cultural weight on being unique. I'm slowly acquiescing, this is in my heart of hearts, slowly acquiescing to the idea that the direct pursuit of uniqueness is mostly counterproductive. Maybe authenticity only emerges as we imitate. I think that's part of the power behind the ancient practice of imitatio. But it also resonates with current social psychology and what the historian René Girard called mimesis. Embedded in our human DNA is the process of imitating. No matter how unique you think you are almost always imitating somebody or something. Better to make it a self-conscious choice and select people and things that point you in good directions. The Roman Catholic tradition emphasizes the imitation of Christ and the imitation of Mary, as you see in the icon. It teaches to meditate on the lives of the saints so that we can better imitate a life in touch with sacred things. As I reflected on my own imitations, the images that guide me on my better days, I saw the patience of the watchmaker. My father and grandfather are watchmakers. I saw the resourcefulness of the backpacker. And I see the generativity of a well-appointed study at work. If I can imitate these things well every now and again, I don't need to worry too much about being unique.
So good.
I love that.
So good.
I love it.
It's a lot
I
of fun.
love these pictures. I love these. I've become a real, I'm not a follower of icons just because I haven't spent the time I need to spend. I've got 2 or 3 books on it by one of the experts about iconography, iconology, whatever. And I really love it. And my friend Brian Taylor brought back Rublev's Trinity for me, and then 2 or 3 other icons, which I love icons, you know?
Yeah.
And so to look at this icon, which I don't know which one it is. I mean, who did it or anything like that. But I was looking at these two and I was thinking, are these the over the shoulder, you know, talking about who to imitate or not to imitate?
Yeah. Yeah, they are beautiful.
They are.
Stunningly beautiful.
Absolutely.
And of course, the image of the watchmaker is just, it's so meaningful to me, because that's how I spent my life, my childhood, is watching them do that.
Amazing.
That's what made me grin, because I knew
Yeah.
of your family history, and I just was thinking, oh, yeah, there's Davin imitating his
So good.
dad.
So good.
Yeah, I thought it was terrific. So, nice
Are you
job.
next?
Good
Are you next,
start.
Michael?
I think so. Blue and lighter blue, mountain range and distant sky, shade azure ciel. And then the other side are some other pictures.
Such great photography.
It's amazing what a little iPhone SE can do, isn't it?
Really is.
It really, yeah, it
It's
really is.
amazing. You just point it and click.
It's so beautiful. Do you want me to go?
Sure, yeah.
I almost missed the mountain range when I looked at this photo. This photo feels like an invitation to dream, to relax, to see. It strikes me how this haiku is simple and yet profound. A description of this split second in time is immortalized through this photo. It's interesting how the entire photo is just a shade of blue, yet it creates expansive depth, but the depth has to be focused on to be seen. I missed the mountains with my first quick glance, and the depth only came as I studied the picture. As I gave it more time and reflection, depth unfolded. It strikes me how this is true of life. What can appear just ordinary, a blue sky, distant mountains, when we stop, pause, give the ordinary gift time to unfold, depth comes to us with lessons to share. Every element of this photo is captured in the 17 syllables of this haiku that, in and of itself, is a challenge to see deeper and share the journey in a simple way.
Awesome.
I loved the photo. And I honestly was like, oh, that's so nice. The sky. Why? I wonder why he said mountains. And then I'm like, oh, look at, there's tiny mountains.
Yeah,
right
it kind of comes at you out of nowhere there.
Yeah.
But at least for me, as you'll see, it meant the whole thing. But I'll say as well that the little bit of writing that you put on the back of my envelope this month also really, as was true last month, I think as well, really, I think changed the way I saw the whole thing. So, so many different ways to take this haiku, I think, along with the beautiful picture.
Yeah.
At Penn State University, a celebratory theme is that God must be a Penn State fan because the sky is blue and white. They're school colors. This haiku also reminds me of Dolly Parton's wonderful bluegrass anthem, "The Grass is Blue," in which the only world that makes sense without the love of a lost lover is one in which everything is reversed and upside down. But what I really see at work here is the horizon, the point where the mountain range and the sky touch. The view is so expansive, and the meeting place of earth and heaven is so distant that the colors blend into each other, azure ciel. In the Western philosophical tradition, Gadamer talked about horizon as a kind of place where one's perspectives and frames of reference broadened to include others' perspectives. Having horizon indicates the willingness to reach beyond oneself and one's immediate surroundings. By this definition, not everyone has a horizon. And not everyone who has a horizon possesses the practical wisdom to choose the right horizon at the right time. It's kind of like being pointed in the right direction or aiming well for a target. If you aim at nothing, you're likely to hit it, as the cliche teaches. Even more, the notion of a horizon forces the issue of having eyes to see, figuratively speaking. It's always there, but we don't always see it. What can we do to see more horizons? How do we come to have eyes that see and not simply eyes that provide information to the visual cortex? I see a first step in this haiku in the beautiful photos, openness and awareness, and a spirit of love and appreciation for what might not be yours, but makes the world better regardless. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
My mind is sort of blown by the idea of horizon people. You know, how that's like, whew, I've never even considered that.
Yeah, people have a horizon and some just don't get it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love it.
I learn so much every time I come to one of these. Both of you have something that I haven't even thought of before or don't know anything about before.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State, God is a Penn State fan, right? You didn't know that,
Did not know that.
Well, we'll come around to Penn State here in a little while. Just keep that thought. Okay, these photos, front and back, were all taken on a June 19th hike up Bogus Basin with my hiking buddy Vince. It was a beautiful day for a hike. Now, as a side note, the blue picture that you see has Vince in it originally, but I cropped him out. So Vince, if you're watching this, I'm sorry I had to crop you out just for the integrity of the blue. But what Vince will do sometimes, and again, almost every time we take a hike, he will, when we're in a great spot like that, a beautiful spot like that, he'll put his arms out like this and just do this. And I've got all sorts of pictures of him doing that. And it's really being one with everything, just that very immersive look. And so that's what the full picture was before I cropped it. And so I'll get you in one of these haikus soon. There's a play on words here, as ciel means both a sky and heaven in French. And in English, according to Merriam-Webster, a pale or light blue like that of a clear sky. So azure ciel can mean blue heaven or blue, light blue sky. And shades of blue heaven are so immense and yet so intimate, so distant, and yet so immediately present. I love this picture when I took it because, as you know by now, I love the color blue. I also love blue skies and blue mountains. After our family moved to Albuquerque in the early 1970s, my parents, though I think my mom mostly, fell in love with Louis L'Amour and his stories of the West. After all, we now lived right in the middle of his narrative canvas. Then, of course, all of us kids, all of us voracious readers, all fell in love with him too. And one of the L'Amour series was about the generations of the Sackett family. And one of those books, I think it was second in the series, was titled To the Far Blue Mountains, and was the story of Barnabas Sackett on the run from England, crossing the Atlantic, and then heading west once he landed in our not yet country. May we all head toward our own far blue mountains, and may we always look up and out to see blue skies surrounding us in perpetual heaven.
So beautiful.
I love where I live. I just love living here.
It's nice to be reminded that we actually have blue skies like this, since we haven't seen that in over a month with all the smoke.
With smoke, yeah.
When
Wow.
I was working on this haiku, I had to go to ask my wife. I said, "Is this blue?" Because I'm colorblind. I said I didn't want to, have a haiku about something that was really smog or grays everywhere, and she assured me that it was. So
it is. Yes.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's pull up Amy. Look at that day. Jeez.
So beautiful.
Speaking of looking at that.
All right. So mine is, what direction does love, joy, grace, kindness, peace flow? Outward, inward, both.
I could barely read this, so I had to use my magnifying glass.
Sorry. It says, consider the direction of your grace. And it's a line from a poem by Barbara Kingsolver in her book, How to Fly in 10,000 Easy Lessons.
I love your literary diet, Amy.
So
awesome.
diverse.
And again, similar to the impact of Michael's envelope scribble, the quote from Kingsolver on the back there really kind of shifted. I read the haiku and I flipped it over and I was like, okay, now I've got a hook.
Yeah, something interesting.
Oh no, the haiku is wonderful, but the quote there just kind of changed my lens.
Yeah, I love it.
It's interesting. Sometime maybe we three should write about the haiku plus. The haiku plus, not just the high bun, but there's also the quote. There's something else
the
that
inspiration.
Makes this whole process holistic.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Davin, you want to go first or me?
Sure, I'm happy to go first. So part of my background professionally is as a pastor, and I still feel like a big way that I see the world is through that lens as well. So that informed a little bit here of how I looked at this. One of the prime directives for effective ministry and effective parenting, I think, is to go where the energy is. It sounds a bit like inertia. A body in motion tends to stay in motion, so ride it as long and as well as you can. As a parent, pastor, or teacher, you may have plenty of great ideas about what should happen next, which after-school activity to join, which book to read, which service project to manifest, which meets to serve at the next church dinner. But if the energy is moving another direction, good luck. There are times as a leader to push against this energy, but truth be told, you're almost always better to ride it, shape it, and guide it rather than resist it. It's a matter of good decision-making, really. And the first step is acknowledging that there is some powerful energy out there that isn't yours. Call it empathy, call it emotional intelligence, call it situational awareness, whatever you want to call it. A good pastor, parent, teacher, leader will have it and will listen to it. This awareness, having eyes to see and ears to hear, really matters. It allows you to add your energy in impactful, meaningful ways. It reminds me of the phrase, the cliche idiom, that the world returns to you what you give it. It sounds trite to say that if you are kind, the world returns kindness to you. If you are joyful, the world returns joy to you, and so on. But it's true. It's about where and how you use your energy and what you choose to see. And so, yes, love, joy, grace, kindness, and peace flow out and in. But you've got to go where that energy is, recognize it, and participate in it. So it's Kingsolver that kind of pointed the direction on that for me.
I love it. So
Nice.
interesting. Yeah.
Very, very. Okay. This got me to thinking. This provocative haiku, you probably didn't know it was going to be provocative. This provocative haiku got me to thinking about direction. Which direction anything goes, I reckon, depends on where you're starting. If you live in Wichita, Kansas, and want to go to Lawrence, Kansas, you have to go north. If you live in Boulder, Colorado, and want to go to Lawrence, you have to go east. If you want to go to Lawrence and Kansas University from Penn State, you have to go up. I've been thinking a bit about direction lately. I've been reading a book written by Judy Neal called Edgewalkers, and I just got this book. It's called Edgewalkers 2006. People and organizations that take risks, build bridges, and break new ground.
So
Anyway,
interesting.
I'm just getting started on it. Without going into lots of the backstory, the wonderful Judy, who I've gotten to know just a little so far through a book reading group, says an edgewalker is someone who walks between the worlds. When I first heard edgewalkers, that's not what I thought it was. Who walks between the worlds. In ancient times, that might be a shaman or a medicine man, and was someone, she says, who walked into the invisible world to get information, guidance, and healing. Which direction, I wonder, would the invisible world be for me? She makes this all very applicable, though, for our times. Leaders, for example, who walk on the edge are leaders who can appreciate and work in different cultures, she says. I wonder which direction one has to go to move into, out of, around and about different cultures. Richard Rohr looks at the edge in a different way. He talks about living on the edge of the inside, which means being still inside the structure. He talks about St. Francis and St. Clare living within the structure of the Catholic Church, but on the edge, focusing on different things like simplicity and humility and poverty than most of the rest of the church. Which direction is the edge of the inside? Is it pushing the boundaries out, or is it restructuring priorities in? And then, of course, when something or someone changes the boundaries of the circle, one might find themselves sitting on the outside after all. Still being inside the circle, but away from center where people can practice what Rohr calls an alternative orthodoxy. Franciscan alternative orthodoxy, Rohr says, has never bothered fighting popes, bishops, scriptures, or dogmas. It just quietly but firmly pays attention to different things inside, at the edge of the inside, like simplicity, humility, nonviolence, contemplation, solitude, and silence, earth care, nature, and other creatures, and the least of the brothers and sisters. That's a quote from Richard Rohr. Both these concepts of being on the edge appeal to me. Where is my life flowing? Which direction? Where are the major currents of the world taking humanity right now? Will we need to learn to swim upstream?
So it reminds me of Davin talking about horizon people, edgewalker, horizon.
Yeah.
So much overlapping.
Yeah. I'm going to be haunted by the Kingsolver quote. Consider the direction of your grace. It's like advice as well as a warning.
Yeah.
There's a lot of depth there.
Yeah. It's my turn, right? Yes. This was inspired by a poem by Barbara Kingsolver. Consider the direction of your grace. I think we most often tend to think of love, joy, grace, kindness, peace flowing outward as some grand gift that if our hearts and minds are in shape enough, we can bestow on the world. The provocative bit of this in my mind is inward. How the question changes when we consider the direction of love, joy, grace, kindness, peace flowing inward. Do we let love reach us? Do we let joy shape our minds? Do we let grace flow through the highs and lows of each ordinary day? Does the kindness that we show others shape the voice we speak to ourselves with? Does the peace that we extend to others extend inward to our heart and soul? I've been around long enough to observe that too often, no. We work to let it flow outward and dam up the inward. This question of flow is disruptive. It strips away a layer of deception and asks us to align internally and externally to treat ourselves indeed as we treat others.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So that idea of deception, self-deception, I've mechanisms of self-deception is just I don't know. I feel like that's a paper we need to write. Like, what are they? How do they happen?
So true.
Yeah.
Might be a dirge.
Might be a what?
A dirge.
That could be it could be a good song. That's what you mean, a good song, right?
Could be a wailing.
Yeah.
It could be wailing, keening about all the deception in the world and inside ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, what else for the good of the cause, my friends? We actually made it this month before the last day of the month, which is interesting.
Impressive.
Impressive. That's right. This is our 15th recording, just for the record. So, and of course, months before that. So before we get out of here, I want to share my screen once more and just point out that these haiku narratives are, mutual project. But I guess what I wanted to really say was people should be reading Amy's weekly missive.
So nice.
This week she was talking about pausing. I mean, there was just a number of things which interact with all this, and so you need to go. You need to go. Everyone says that, I say, I'm not doing anything. Someone tells me you need to, but I have testimony that Amy's writing. It's wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
And her reading, she'll share what she's reading too, as Davin says. It's always just
Cover the gamut.
Yep.
She does. Okay, folks. Thanks. See y'all next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.